Good evening, grave robbers, and welcome back to the television graveyard. We are your TV necromancers, Lara Prince and Noah Houlihan. We have come here tonight to examine the spirits of past television shows to find out which ones could be resurrected, should be resurrected, and which ones should just stay doomed. This is a podcast in which we will analyze the history, the hype, and the aftermath of shows that ran only one season, including some, like this one, that ran only one episode. With me, as always, is TV's Noah Houlihan.
I'm sorry, Satan, but I'm vegan.
This week we are doing it's YouTube Red Month.
Yes, it is YouTube Red Month, or YouTube Originals Month, or YouTube Premium Month. And we want to thank user M, or our Grave Robber M, for being so nice as to donate a month of YouTube Premium to us. So before we jump into the episode, let's just talk a little bit about what we're doing with YouTube Premium. A lot of people asked us to check out Escape the Night, which we cannot do a full episode on because it's 4 seasons long. We did watch one full episode of it.
Yeah.
We were going to watch more, but for some reason the
new PlayStation 4 update has, ruined YouTube?
Yeah, we no longer can sign in. So we've had YouTube Premium on our television for maybe 3 days.
Yeah.
And then it was gone. But we did watch Escape the Night. Overall, our first impressions of it were not that positive, but we'll give it more time.
It looks delightfully campy. It definitely seems to rely on us knowing more about the contestants than we know.
Yes, the only one I knew was Shane Dawson, and then he died, and I was like, okay, cool.
Spoiler for the first 15 minutes of the first episode of the first season of
Escape the Night. But yeah, I think it's, so far, again, we're only one episode deep, I think it's flawed as a reality show in one, the person I thought was the host is a contestant. Which was very confusing. And 2, everyone is a YouTube personality. So everyone's kind of trying to be the silly fun one.
Yes.
And I feel like nobody wants to win.
Yeah, everyone's trying to be the star.
Yeah.
It's a cast full of people attempting to be the breakout character.
Yeah, so I think it's a bit handicapped by that, in that it was not cast like it was a reality show. It was cast on what YouTube personalities you could get.
Yeah.
But when it got to the cliffhanger of this season, I was intrigued enough to want to see more.
It had that great hokey whodunit look.
Yeah.
That was getting us to be.
Yeah, so we're not impressed yet, but we're definitely going to give it more time. Other than that, I did spend some time watching Minefield, which is the Vsauce show, and I love it to death. I don't always agree with the conclusions they draw, but for the most part, it's very interesting science. So that's what we've been enjoying with YouTube Premium. So, now let's get into I Am Poppy, and we start by pouring one out.
Yeah, so what do you have? Because we can probably hear yours.
Yeah,
on the microphone.
let me take a sip and see if we can get some ASMR on this one. Maybe a little. What I have created is I started with a little bit of just Sprite to start us off, and then I added some rose grenadine. Kind of gives it a bloody look. And I also went with some Dragonberry rum to represent the evil behind all of this in Poppy. And then I rimmed it with Pop Rocks. So I have a nice Pop Rock rim, which is surprisingly loud. It has calmed down quite a bit. And I call it the Poppycock Tail.
Okay. I have a blended margarita with tequila, frozen strawberries, frozen bananas, margarita mix, a little bit of ice for texture, layered with rainbow sprinkles, and you drink it with 2 Twizzlers. There's a lot going on. It's cloyingly sweet, a little bit sour, and overall very unsatisfying. And I call it the I'm Poppy.
That makes sense. It looks very difficult to drink.
I actually call it the heavy-handed symbolism.
Oh.
Because there's a lot of that in the show.
Oh, that
It's
makes
also
sense.
the dye from the rainbow sprinkles is like bleeding out into the rest of it.
Yeah, both of our drinks, you'll see pictures of it on our YouTube and stuff, but they started out what are you doing? What are you doing? Why are you spitting it out on the table?
She does this constantly.
Yeah, but don't do it. This is an audio podcast. Stop it. Get a napkin. Okay, Laura, for those of you who are not me, Lauren currently just let it ooze out of her face. If you're going to do stuff like that, let me take a picture. In any case.
Oh, there's sprinkles everywhere.
Oh, yeah. Both of our drinks started out kind of pretty, and now they're both kind of gross.
Yeah, much like I'm Poppy.
It's very fitting. So before we get into this, let's start
I'm self-conscious about how crunchy my beverage is.
Mine is literally sizzling, so I think it's fine. But before we get started, let's start with our base on I'm Poppy. You were not a Poppy fan when we started.
Yeah, I was not familiar with Poppy.
I'm a big Poppy fan. I watched the YouTube series for a bit, the non-premium version. I kind of fell off of it. I actually really enjoyed Poppy's music. I'm a big fan of Low Life, and I'm a big fan of, I think it's called Money, but it's about money. And then I kind of fell off, and then she showed up on NXT for some reason, and all of a sudden she was in a death metal band, and she did Scary Mask, which is also awesome. So I'm a big fan of her music, legitimately. A friend of mine did ask me to go to her concert at the Electric Factory, and I considered it, but unfortunately it got canceled. So stop doing that.
Nah.
You're making a mess, and we're doing a show. So, I'm a big fan of Poppy. This is Laura's not first taste of her, but first time watching it actively.
Watching more than 12 seconds of it that came on when I was coming into the room.
Mm-hmm. So, let's start talking about I Am Poppy.
So, we come in, and it's a blonde woman shuddering in the middle of some very stereotypical looking black masked druids.
Yes.
And she's in a white nightgown. Her makeup is streaked and she's crying.
Right.
And she's begging a man we don't initially see for help.
Yes.
And once we see him, he is what I can only consider dollar store Lucius Malfoy.
Yes. He reminded me of Raiden from the Mortal Kombat movie.
He is... If you kind of just had Jason Isaacs go to a party city and try to make his Lucius Malfoy costume, you'd get this guy.
Mm-hmm. He's an older man, and there's something wrong with his nose. He has a weird, broken nose. He's a worse Owen Wilson.
And he's got the cheapest blonde wig.
Yes.
Cheapest blonde wig.
It looks horrendous. And this girl is begging this man and saying, I'm sorry, I'll do whatever you say.
I'll never do it again.
I'll never do it again. And he says something like,
I won't do that to you again. I will never do that to you again, Ivan.
You're absolutely right. You won't. You've been replaced by someone who knows their role. Someone who knows how to follow the rules.
No.
You see, there are rules in this world, darling. But you just love to break them, don't you? I've wanted to taste you for so very long, darling.
And licks her face, has a big knife, and then pulls off the wig and is surprise, I'm a bald guy.
And it's we definitely didn't figure that out from your Walmart wig.
And one thing that we noticed is he's wearing these tassels that have these symbols on it. And there's an eye, there's a cat, and then there's something that we both thought was a 20-sided D&D dice.
Yeah, it looked like a dodecahedron.
It was like, why is he wearing this? It's one of those things where I know enough about Poppy to think this probably means something, but I think the average person would be like, oh, it's some sort of cult thing, and like not think anything of it. And that just kind of ends there, right? Mm-hmm. With the face licking and...
Well, it's very sexualized in that, like, they're circling this woman. He kind of says, I can't wait to taste you. And he kind of, like, not quite mounts her while holding the knife. And then it smash cuts to, hi, I'm Poppy. Thanks for giving me this opportunity.
That's right, because as this, like, almost in this implied rape scene is happening in front of us.
Rape and murder.
Yeah, I turn to you and I go, hi, I'm Poppy. And then Poppy pops on screen and says that. Mm-hmm. And I burst out laughing.
And at this point, I have already told you I hate it.
Yes, it's a very, like, the tone of this is very sinister and dark. Mm-hmm. It doesn't really match the tone of Poppy because the Poppy YouTube show, it's like an underlining sinisterness. This is very blatant in its like evil and sinister tones here.
And the young Madison Lawler, who plays the young lady who is in this first scene, acts her face off.
Yeah.
I was invested in this girl we never see again. Mm-hmm. Which means it really sucks because she's gone, we never see her again.
Yeah, we never see her again.
And so I actually like cared about this woman. Mm-hmm. And I was like, oh, okay, well.
And she's not a mainstaying character here.
Yeah.
So we see Poppy, and she's kind of just doing her Poppy thing, where she looks into the camera, and she says, like, I'm Poppy. It feels good to get likes on my Instagram. Like,
the best part of being alive is when someone subscribes to my YouTube channel.
Yes. And then we cut to, like, this producer guy who's watching this going, this is all that she does?
And another guy kind of defensively is like, yeah, I mean, yeah, she's perfect.
Mm-hmm. And this guy that is saying this is none other than Sam the Man Levine, a.k.a. Little Wolverine, who you might know from the Doug Loves Movies podcast, or Freaks and Geeks, another one-season wonder, and Do No Harm, another one-season wonder. So the fact that this is the first time I think Sam Levine has shown up on our show is surprising.
Yeah, it's because we haven't watched those ones yet.
Mm-hmm.
They're coming.
They're coming. So basically they decide that they're going to sign Poppy to some sort of TV deal.
They're giving her her own TV show, and she's very excited. Mm-hmm. And then the next thing we see is a number of quick cuts. We see an alarm, like an alarm clock go off. We see a shower, and then we see someone with a doll's hands going through social media, and she speaks in a Siri-type voice. Mm-hmm. And we see that she is a mannequin. Yes,
this is Charlotte. Charlotte has shown up many times in the Poppy show. So she's like a reoccurring character, if you're a fan of Poppy. And I never thought of her as like a main character in the Poppy world. And I always kind of thought she was like a stand-in for the media. Mm-hmm. But I don't understand what she's doing here. Like she
appears to be a stand-in for fandom here.
Yeah.
She's clearly jealous of Poppy and jealous of Poppy's success. And then we go back to Poppy.
Yes.
And she's talking to a room full of executives who are all, it's a very pretty shot. Mm-hmm. And then it's just her on one side of the table, and it's like the 5 executives all standing together on the other side of the table. Mm-hmm. And she goes like, I love how clean this room is. And I realized what she reminds me of.
What's that?
You ever seen The Muppet Christmas Carol?
Of course.
She is the ghost of Christmas past.
Oh.
That is her voice and the cadence of her voice. Touch my hand and you will be upheld. And that level of creepy as well.
Yeah, this is when I finally, like, I've watched Poppy forever, and this is the first time that it clicked why her videos are so unsettling. Because this is the first time that, like, she's interacting with characters not in her, like, Poppy universe. Mm-hmm. All of her lines are ADR.
Mm-hmm. You didn't know that?
No! I just always watched her stuff because every character in her videos is shot that way with the ADR.
Yeah, Charlotte obviously clearly is.
Exactly. So seeing her talk to Sam Levine's character and realizing, like, oh, the sound is off. It doesn't perfectly match her lips to make it, like, unsettling. So that's when it finally clicked. I was like, oh, every time Poppy is speaking, it is ADR. Mm-hmm. Interesting.
Nah.
Stop doing that. So I thought that was an interesting
She does that
choice.
in this scene. That's why I just did it.
Oh, the spitting?
Mm-hmm. So she takes a selfie with all of the execs, and they present her with a TV show idea. They're like, this will be the Poppy show. Mm-hmm. And she just talks about how much she wants to be famous. She's like,
so, Poppy, we wanted to talk to you today about a TV show. Your TV show, in fact. We wanted to take those little internet videos you do and turn them into a real Hollywood production. The Poppy Show. What do you think about that?
Oh, that sounds nice. I've always wanted my own TV show. Most famous people have their own TV show.
Oh, yeah. Everybody wants their own TV show, and that's what we want to give to you.
Can I have magic on my show?
Oh, it'll be the most magical masterpiece anyone's ever seen.
Can I have famous people on my show?
Oh, all the famous people. We know famous people. I've got famous friends. Lots of famous friends. They'll all come on.
I like famous people.
and then the execs laugh.
Yes.
And that's when she does pours the blood out of her mouth.
Yeah, all of a sudden it turns to these, like, they're laughing, like, maniacally.
Yeah, it becomes like an acid trip, kind of.
And then we get kind of like that Evil Dead shaky cam.
Yeah.
Where, like, these intense zooms. And this, I believe, is also the scene where we're introduced to Rosewater.
Yes.
Rosewater is Poppy's friend.
Who is a carton of rosewater.
Who is a carton of rosewater who is just concerned about Poppy's decisions. Mm-hmm. We then go to... Is this the hot air balloon music video sequence?
Not quite.
Okay.
We then see Great Value Lucius Malfoy as one of the execs, which we didn't before.
Oh, right.
My next note is, I hate this and I hate Noah. Oh, now you dropped your drink out of your mouth.
Why do you hate me?
Because I never would have watched this on my own. Because you were the one who really wanted to do this show.
I did. I thought it was going to be interesting and cool.
Well, wrong. So then she and Rosewater are snapped to this weird white dreamland, and she sings a song called Is This Real? Which I referred to as Urban Outfitters' Let It Go.
I have to say, unfortunately, I really hate this song. Like, I like so much of Poppy's music. Mm-hmm. And, like, I think it's, like, fun and, like, I don't even want to say it's, like, sinister.
Yeah.
But, like, when it's not the death metal, it's fun bubblegum pop, but the lyrics are a little bit, like, off.
Yeah.
And, like, I'm one of those people that...
Uncanny Valley pop.
Yes, that is a great way to describe it, because I'm one of those people that I have to hear a song like 10 times before I really understand what the lyrics even are.
Yeah.
Like, I've usually decided that I like a song before I know any of the words.
Yeah, because you and I have actually had conversations where I don't like a song, because I'm always very lyrically driven. Mm-hmm. And you're like, no, this song's great. And then I literally will sit there and recite the lyrics for you, and you'll be like, oh yeah, I get why you hate this.
Yeah, the biggest example I can think of is Pumped Up Kicks.
I was thinking of Blurred Lines.
Blurred Lines, I did mishear a lot of the lyrics there.
Yeah.
But, like, Pumped Up Kicks, I just thought was a fun, slow jam. And you're like, wait a minute. What do you mean he has a gun in his hand?
Yeah, and I was like, I hate that song. It's about shooting. And you're like, what? And I was like, no, I don't like it. Yeah,
so usually I really, like, dig Poppy's music because, like, on a few listens, that's when you catch, like, oh, what is she saying here?
Yeah,
but this song is not special.
No, and then, like, halfway through, it turns into literal cartoon hell.
Mm-hmm.
And we see an angel and a devil, but she doesn't really connect with either of them. And then the devil appears as a full size. Like, she sees the shoulder angel and the shoulder devil.
Yeah.
And she never interacts with the shoulder angel. But the shoulder devil becomes fully grown. And he says, Poppy, my love, sit with me.
Mm-hmm.
And he offers her goat's milk. And then that's when she says,
Ah, puppy, my love. So good to see you. Come, join me. Goat's milk? My favorite.
Thank you, Satan, but I'm a vegan.
Oh, how irresponsible of me.
and when she says I'm vegan, she looks full to camera.
Mm-hmm.
Like that very, like, I'm vegan, wink.
Yeah.
And then he offers her soy milk instead. And she always accepts a big, tasty glass of soy milk.
Mm-hmm.
And Satan tells her how fast everything's happening for her, and he's happy for her. And her question is, Satan, how famous do you think I'll be? You'll be the most famous. He asks her to sign a contract, and with no hesitation, she does. And then Rosewater is very upset.
Yes.
And then she just says, oh no.
And that's it.
Yeah, and then we get to another Charlotte scene.
This is Charlotte with the...
She's running.
Oh, this is where she does the blog at the top of the mountain.
Yeah, she runs to the top of the mountain and does a very generic vlog.
Hey guys, what's up? It's Charlotte here. This is my first vlog. I've been wanting to do this for a while, but I just haven't had. Well, I haven't had the time to start, but here we are. What a beautiful view of Los Angeles from up here. Life is pretty crazy here in Hollywood. Well, I guess that's it for now. Time to throw all my money away on a green juice. Ha 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 ha. Ha 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 ha. Ha ha. Ha.
It's this very YouTuber thing of, this is what I'm supposed to say to be popular.
Yeah.
But also I have nothing to say.
Yes.
So it's just like, yeah, I did this, so I want my internet points.
Yeah, like she doesn't have anything that she's bringing to the table.
Mm-hmm.
She's not bringing anything new. She's not really doing anything. So she just kind of does it, and then she publishes her first vlog, and then she calls one of the execs, who's one of the two guys who hired Poppy originally. Is it Sam Levine?
Yes.
That she calls? And she asks, like, how Poppy was. She's very invested in Poppy, and we find out that she introduced Sam Levine to the idea of Poppy.
Yes. I wouldn't be surprised if, like, this makes more sense had you seen Poppy.
Yeah.
Because I know that Charlotte plays a role in Poppy, and perhaps there was something that, like, where they got driven apart for reasons, and there's, like, a reason that maybe they're not connecting the way they used to, but this whole scene doesn't make a lot of sense.
Right.
Because, like, it's supposed to be establishing some sort of relationship, but all it's making me do is go, what is happening?
Yeah, and then she talks to the exec, and he thanks her for introducing him to Poppy, and she asks if he pitched the show he promised Charlotte he would pitch.
Mm-hmm.
And he forgot because he's been so caught up with Poppy.
Right.
And then we see 2 flash cuts of pills with Charlotte's name on them and a knife.
Yes.
Clearly implying her mental illness and possible suicidal ideation.
Yeah, which is fun.
My next note is, and I quote, I miss John Mayer. Because, man, by this point in the show, I just want John Mayer in a bear costume. Because I am just so irritated by this point.
Yeah. So I kind of wonder if at this point I've missed anything. And I unfortunately did not do research, so that you will not be getting a jingle this episode. But I was wondering if there was anything like hidden in this episode I've missed. Because that's a very poppy ARG storytelling type thing to do.
Right.
And I wonder if that's just me grasping at, like, there's got to be something here.
This has to be this has to have some kind of value.
Yeah, because I can't quite grab this yet.
So we see 4 women and 1 man, including Charlotte, with their heads in a circle, all in white. And then we have, like, a man give a speech about like the chosen one and about like, you know, giving up want. And it looks very culty.
Yes, there is one thing I catch here in that the one woman is kind of, even though she's laying down, posing the way Poppy did in the Lowlife video, which is a symbol of, I believe, Vesuvius.
Okay.
Which is a demon of the underworld.
Okay.
And has connections with the Illuminati.
Okay.
For all I know, not intentional.
Yeah.
But it's a thing that I was like, oh, I kind of know this hand gesture from previous Poppy stuff.
Okay.
Doesn't really play into anything, but...
Yeah. Means nothing. So, then we get... it's the first day of production. And several of the staff are super excited to start production.
Yes. And they're all saying, like...
It's the first day of production. It's the first day of production.
Say it with me, everyone. It's the first day of production.
Yeah, like they're very psyched. And I do notice it's 2 women and 1 male staff member who's clearly been coached to speak in a way that's very queer-coded.
Yes.
And the exec who, Sam Levine, wants to prove he's not a failure.
Mm-hmm.
And then we go to Poppy's dressing room, and there's 2 dressers dressing Poppy and Rosewater. And Dollar Store Malfoy asks the 2 dressers to leave them alone.
Right.
And he, like, kind of introduces himself to Poppy as the producer of the show.
Mm-hmm.
And she tells him his hair is beautiful.
Right.
His dollar store wig hair.
Yeah, his fake-ass hair.
And he says he has a long history of making people irreplaceable superstars.
Right.
Now, this is one of the few very clever things, because the first thing we saw him do is tell one of his irreplaceable superstars that she's been replaced.
Yes.
And probably kill her.
Yes.
So he then forbids Rosewater from coming to work with Poppy, and she kind of protests a little bit. She's like, but Rosewater comes with me everywhere. And he goes, not to work. And she goes, okay.
Yeah.
So she immediately betrays her friend.
Mm-hmm.
And then Sam Levine, Ivan, and Charlotte all say in like a montage that Poppy is the chosen one.
Yes, she's the chosen one.
And we see Poppy on camera, and she just says like empty platitudes. This reminded me of the scene in 8th grade.
Yeah?
Where the lead character, I can't remember the leading character's name, Elsie Fisher's character, says like, be confident, believe in yourself.
Yeah.
Like those very empty platitudes that you say to people, especially young women, about like self-empowerment.
Mm-hmm.
And so she's just kind of talking that way of like, you can be like me if you believe in yourself and you're happy. And they're doing great numbers, because I guess this is live.
Yeah.
And the numbers burn Sam Levine's hands.
Oh, yeah. It all of a sudden the iPad heats up and it burns him and he drops it.
Yeah. And then the cult shows up.
The cult then shows up with AK-47s.
Yes.
And I, again, just burst out laughing because I was like, what is going on? And there's one shot that almost looks Kill Bill-esque.
Yeah.
Where it's like the white background and then the cultists like almost in silhouette pointing AK-47s around. I was like, whoa, this is a bit much. And then they totally, in my opinion, at this point, destroy the conceit of this show.
Mm-hmm.
Because my understanding of what this show is for years we've seen Poppy do Poppy things on her channel.
Right.
This is now the reality in where they create a TV show around her. So everything happening here is happening in reality.
Yeah.
So we can see other points of view besides what Poppy's channel is putting out.
Right.
And immediately in this scene, twice, someone uses the F word and it gets bleeped.
Everybody on the ground. Now.
What the are you doing in my control room?
I said on the ground. Where is she? Where?
What? Who?
Poppy.
She's in there. Sir. She's gone. No. She's right in there. She was just in there. This isn't happening.
Yes.
What a terrible choice.
It's a very weird choice, because, like, it's not that hard to just not use that word.
Yeah, the fact is, like, you're not making a conscious decision as a creator of this show to use the F word there. You're making the conscious decision to use a bleep.
Yeah, because, like, it's gonna get bleeped out on YouTube.
Yeah, and when you're watching a show like this, where you are an omniscient observer,
Yeah.
including now bleeps means that what you're seeing is no longer reality. It is an edited, contrived vision of reality.
Yeah, like, it no longer feels like you're there.
So I don't understand what the purpose of including that is. Because all it did was make me just tune out.
Yeah, and, like, you don't need to, because it could have just not been those words. Like, none of those quotes were important enough for me to write down.
Yeah.
So they didn't need to use that word.
Absolutely not.
Poppy vanishes in the scuffle.
Yeah, we just kind of lose her.
And she wakes up in a hospital bed with an IV and a blood transfusion.
Yeah.
And Ivan, who is Dollar Store Malfoy's name, shows up and says, like,
Do you want to be powerful?
I want to be famous so I can share my high-quality content with the entire world.
And we are going to make you very famous. I am a very powerful man. The record companies, the movie studios, I own them. You never have to worry about a thing. Our publicists, our attorneys are the best in the business. We can help you with every aspect of your life.
Why were they afraid of me? I'm just Poppy.
They are afraid of what you represent. To them, you're nothing but chaos.
and then my next note is, I get it, it's a parody of Fame and what it does to young women. I got it like 20 minutes ago, leave me alone.
Yes.
They want to mold you, control you. They don't see the world the way you and I see it. Which is very, like, dramatic irony. Because clearly Poppy is looking at the world one way. And, like, Ivan is part of a doom cult.
Yeah.
And Poppy is a vapid, like, Hello Kitty in person kind of creature.
Yeah.
And she says, like, I just want the world to be happy and cute. And then Rosewater is with her, because they're not at work.
Yeah, she's under the blanket.
Yeah, so she's kind of hidden. But, like, she tips off Ivan that Rosewater is there.
Yeah, because she said, don't worry, Rosewater, he's going to make me famous.
And then Ivan, like, kisses her on the forehead, which the last time we saw him do that gesture was before he killed the Starlet.
Yes.
And he also pockets the blood bag.
Which I do not understand.
I'm guessing, well, we see him do a blood sacrifice later. And I have a theory with that.
Okay, all right, you want to save that?
Yeah, I'll save it for that scene.
Okay. And when he leaves, you see him lock the door with a padlock.
Yeah.
So, basically, Poppy is definitely not in a hospital.
Right.
She's made to think she is, but she's actually prisoner to this guy.
Right, but she doesn't know or really seem to care.
Yeah.
So then we have a scene with the cult leader talking to Charlotte, who I have to remind you is still a mannequin.
Yes, this is not Ivan. This is another character.
This is the cult leader that stormed the
set.
The white outfit cult.
Yes.
There's the black outfit cult and the white outfit
And the white
cult.
outfit cult. Yeah.
Color coded for your convenience.
Mm-hmm.
And Charlotte makes a comment about being thinner than Poppy and better than Poppy, and the cult leader tells her to replace her hate and jealousy with love.
This would be a very good scene had there been two actors.
Yeah, I know this is how it is in the show, that Charlotte is a mannequin. I don't love that Charlotte's a mannequin.
I hate this. This is the point where I'm like, man, this would have been a good part for a female actress that is going to voice recognition software and this piece of plastic.
And, like, I get what they're trying to do with it. Like, that she is not... They kind of don't want to give you Charlotte as a human.
Right.
Because Charlotte is kind of emblematic of obsessive fandom.
Mm-hmm.
And Charlotte says she's free from this body. Poppy will set them all free. She sits in her car and cries. Then she hands the stylist a picture of Poppy and bleaches her hair. At this point, I have a equation of how many Disney documentaries we will have to watch for you to make this up to me.
Jeez.
And then my next note is, okay, is long blonde hair emblematic of evil in this world? Ivan kind of has it, Poppy has it, and then Charlotte, who cannot let go of her jealousy, has it.
I took it as not evil, but the attempt to represent the ideal person.
Okay.
Like, Ivan has it because he wants to be this, like, ideal person, but it's not real.
Right.
So that was my kind of thing.
I mean, none of them have real blonde hair. Poppy's hair is not
What?
going to be a real blonde hair. So then, Dollar Store Lucius Malfoy leads his Death Eaters with a holy dagger, and it's like a sacrament.
Right.
He carves his hand open and smears it on a picture of Poppy.
Mm-hmm.
And then offers the deity the bag of blood. So it's a blood sacrifice.
Yeah, but, like, that's not how blood bags work. Like, she was getting a blood transfusion, which means she was receiving blood, not giving it, right?
Yeah, but here's some blood.
I'm just saying it's not Poppy's blood that's being given. And if it's supposed to imply that it is Poppy's blood, they did a terrible job.
I don't think it's supposed to be Poppy's blood. I think it's just like, here's some blood. And then we're back to Poppy on set. Mm-hmm. And she goes, "Can you see me? I love you." And then we see that the woman holding the camera is Charlotte.
Is Charlotte, yes.
And then the credits are Poppy staring at you, and then thank God the credits roll.
Mm-hmm.
And then at the very end of the credits, she waves and goes, "Bye." And I want those 23 minutes of my life back. I'm going to be honest. I would rather watch The Extacles 3 times than watch this ever again.
Hated it that much.
This felt like a sophomore film school effort. It's so heavy-handed. And it's like you always talk about how like the sinister, uncanny valley nature is very subtle.
Yes.
This is not subtle.
This is not subtle at all, no.
And, like, I get it. I'm like, okay, Charlotte is obsessive fandom, and she's dehumanized in a way that, like, public figures tend to dehumanize their fans.
Right.
And I think I had the problem of I tend to be one of those people who needs to like somebody.
Mm-hmm.
There was nobody in the show outside of a carton of rosewater that had any redeeming value.
Yeah.
Like, you couldn't even argue that Poppy is, like, Poppy's not even a pawn, because she's clearly made a deal with Satan and is cool with it.
Mm-hmm. So, when it comes to, like, the bigger Poppy storyline, as I understand it, is basically this idea of she's a created pop star. Like, she may not even be a person.
Yeah.
She may have just been manifested to be this pop star.
Mm-hmm.
And there's also some implications in her series. That's how I'm referring to her YouTube show, is the series. And then I will refer to the premium show that we watched for this show as The Pilot.
Okay.
But in the series that has led up to this pilot, there's a lot of implications that, like, there's something kind of wrong with Poppy, and that maybe throughout the show she has been replaced with, like, better models of Poppy.
Okay.
And through, like, various websites such as, or YouTube channels such as Game Theory, Film Theory, Nightmind, and Atrocity Guide, I think, did one on Poppy, basically broke down that there is this connection to the Illuminati.
Mm-hmm.
You can solve some puzzles. And the original Poppy, Poppy is created by Titanic Sinclair.
Yes.
Which you see at the end. It says written and directed by Titanic Sinclair.
Yeah.
That's not his real name.
Well,
but
yeah.
he's also a character in this. Like, he has shown up in Poppy, and he has that weird ADR voice. And there's a certain number that keeps seeming to pop up. I think it's 114. I could be wrong. That seems to have some sort of connection. And Titanic Sinclair had a project before Poppy.
Yes.
Called Mars Argo, I believe. And it was very similar to Poppy in that, like, she also randomly bled out of her mouth. You're out of drink, so you can't do it right now. But she, like, it was very Poppy adjacent.
Yeah. And
while Titanic Sinclair claimed that Poppy had nothing to do with Mars Argo, there was a lot of parallels and references. So people tried to break down what was happening here. And a lot of people came up with this plot that, like, what we need to do is save Poppy.
Yes.
Poppy is oblivious and an innocent that is just kind of being controlled. And we need to go in there and save her from Titanic Sinclair.
Right.
In reality, Titanic Sinclair was her manager and abusive, and Poppy actually needed to be saved from him, and eventually leaves him to become a death metal artist.
Yeah, and it is fascinating because the show I'm Poppy debuted in January 2018. It premiered on YouTube Red on January 25th. On April 17th, Mars Argo, his partner in that project, filed a lawsuit against Titanic Sinclair and Poppy.
Right.
So, alleged, and there was all sorts of copyright infringement, emotional and physical abuse, stalking. Pretty much the only thing about Poppy was the copyright infringement. And Poppy made a public statement, and in the end, it was settled out of court September 2018, but all Mars Argo stuff was put toward the young lady who was in Mars Argo.
Yes.
Brittany Sheets.
I believe they actually had to take down one of Poppy's songs because of this. I want to say it's Bubble Bath, but I think that's also the name of the album.
Okay.
But yeah, actually I think it's the Money one, because I think that's the one that had the Mars Argo references in it. Because it was my favorite one, and all of a sudden it was gone. And I remember people like re-uploading it and going, here it is, I know it's missing. And people just feel like they were doing this to help solve a mystery that had been constructed for us to solve. But the more I looked into it, it more and more looked like these are a bunch of just crazy videos to make you think things that I didn't really have a plan for.
Yeah.
I also want to point out that when Poppy first gained popularity, it was in a different version of the YouTube algorithm. Okay. The YouTube algorithm, the way it works now, you are basically judged by watch time, which is how many minutes does the viewer spend on your videos.
Yes.
You'll notice that in today's YouTube, they will say things like, wait till the end, and they'll save something important till the last 3 seconds of their video, so you don't see credits and tune out and click away, because they want you to watch the whole thing, because they want 100% watch time. In the time of original Poppy, it was all about views.
Right.
So
they wanted you to do those short.
They wanted a video that was 30 seconds that you would watch over and over again looking for clues.
Yeah.
So in a time where all you wanted to do was make that number go up of views, the best thing you do would be create something short that requires rewatch. And a Poppy video was usually a minute long.
Right.
So the way that the things that people believed made Poppy special were very much designed to survive on that version of YouTube.
Yes.
So...
And that's not the case anymore.
Yeah, it's very easy for me to believe, or it seems very clear to me, that, there wasn't a bigger picture to Poppy after all. Like
It feels like there really wasn't.
We spent all this time trying to figure Poppy out, and it was really just a way to feed a now outdated algorithm.
I could definitely see that.
Any other research you wanted to bring up?
Poppy also parted ways with Titanic Sinclair in late 2019.
Right.
And kind
So
of...
semi-recently.
Yeah, and then she also alleged the same kind of abuse
Right.
that Mars Argo suffered. And so obviously this means the show really couldn't come back. The reviews for this show were really interesting because the Hollywood Reporter said the Hollywood Reporter and The Verge both said it was really cool, but we don't really know where you could go with this. Mm-hmm. And Polygon said it was enjoyable and authentically YouTube.
Interesting.
I get and I know everyone hates when I do this, I got the Adult Swim in the bad way vibe from this.
Yeah.
Where I'm like, oh, it's weird and spooky for the sake of it. Yeah, it's not actually saying anything. It doesn't really feel authentic to me. Like,
when something is Adult Swimmy, it kind of means, I bet this is good if you're high.
Yeah.
And I bet Poppy's great if you're high.
Yeah, I did not care for this show.
So I guess it's verdict time then.
Stay doomed.
To stay doomed from you.
It's the most stay doomed that's ever been doomed. I don't know where it could go. I think there's ways it could have been better. I think the way we initially see the alarm and the shower with Charlotte, I think the idea that she was a mannequin should have been the last shot.
Okay,
before the credits roll.
Interesting you said that.
Like, we should have...
It should have been a reveal, is what you're saying.
Yes, and I know, I've never really sat through a Poppy video. Mm-hmm. I was kind of familiar with who she was and, a little familiar with her music, though I wasn't, a huge fan. Mm-hmm. But, I never sought out a Poppy video or anything. So, I felt like it didn't give me a reason to become a Poppy fan. Mm-hmm. I was like, this is heavy-handed, and we don't care about Poppy. I feel like we speed through her deal with the devil.
Yeah.
So quick that, okay, Poppy's corrupt already. So there's nowhere for her to go. There's no narrative arc. It's Adult Swimmy in that there's no storyline to go anywhere. It's just going to be weird visuals and, maybe just, a thin plot per episode with a music video.
Mm-hmm. Interesting take on that. So when you say it's the most stay doomed, are you saying that it's the worst thing that we've reviewed on this show? Is it under Game Over, Good Family, Extacles? It's weird that I just picked the first 4 episodes of our show.
I didn't care for Adult Animation Month that much, frankly.
Yeah. It had Clone High in it, though.
Oh, Clone High is probably still the best.
I still think it's the best thing we've watched.
I would definitely... Extacles isn't my cup of tea, but I could at least see where some people liked it. And Extacles also has that product of its time.
Yeah.
I didn't like it in 2018.
Yeah.
But I could see where, somebody in 2005 might have liked it more.
Yeah.
So, I would say this is my least favorite thing we've watched.
Really? That's interesting.
Yeah, the only thing worse was Nightmare Ned because there were 24 episodes of it.
Yeah, Nightmare Ned is pretty low on my list as well.
But for the most part, I think this is the worst thing we've watched for the show.
All right.
Are you, do you have one in mind that I'm not thinking of that we've watched that's worse?
No, I'm not trying to be nuh-uh, what about this? I'm just surprised to hear this.
It feels, I hate everybody. Mm-hmm. There's a lot of weird, sexism undercurrent to me.
Absolutely.
And it's just not very well made. Mm-hmm. It feels very, I am 14 and this is deep.
Okay.
And I hate it.
All right.
Game Over had, remember, we made a rule around Game Over that, part of it was redeemable.
Yeah, we wanted it to be good. We cheered for Game Over.
Yeah, and The Good Family was just mediocre.
Okay.
What about you?
I want to start by saying that I totally get what you're saying, because I really felt like this show was a big middle finger to new fans.
Okay.
Like, if someone thought, I'm going to watch this and get into Poppy, it basically says, no, you can't do that.
Right.
Like, you need to have post information to understand this. To understand why Charlotte's a mannequin. To understand why Poppy talks the way she talks. Like, to understand the sensation she had become. To understand Rosewater.
Yeah.
Like, all this stuff is required information to make heads or tails of this show.
Yeah, which I clearly did not.
Like, if you're trying to be a new fan, this is a middle finger. I'm not a new fan.
Okay.
I really like Poppy.
Okay.
So this was a giant middle finger to me as well. The message I got from this was, don't watch it. Because they took all the things I like about the Poppy show and got rid of it. They never say she's a pop star.
Yeah, they don't really say anything about her.
Because the first time you see Poppy in this show is Poppy saying those things like,
I like, the best part of my day is when someone likes my Instagram.
Right. And then Sam Levine says, this is all she does? No, it's not. She's a musician. Yeah, she's a singer.
It feels, and like, to me, it feels like all she does.
Yeah. Did you forget? And if there is a music video in this show, but like, it plays more of like, oh, I guess this is another weird thing this show does.
It feels more like a dream sequence than actually.
Yeah, not that Poppy has had multiple albums come out.
This is the thing I hate with musicals. I love musical theater. I've gotten into arguments in the comments of previous shows
about musical
theater. I got into, maybe it was the Cop Rock episode, where somebody like challenged us to come up with an I Want song. I responded on my personal account, and they were like, I was asking the host of the show, and I was like,
yeah, that's me.
I was like, it me. But one of the things I don't like about some modern musical movies is the embarrassment about being a musical.
Yeah.
Where like the music all has to take place in dream sequences or in universe. When I like a musical like the Hairspray movie that came out like a decade ago, where it's just like, Tracy is singing I Can Hear the Bells in school, and that's just the thing that's happening.
Right.
And it works because Tracy's kind of a Cloud Cuckoo-lander, and she asks if, can you hear them chime? And Penny goes like, no, I don't hear anything. Mm-hmm. This felt like they didn't want to make it a musical, despite the fact that Poppy's a musician. So they kind of put half a song into a weird dream sequence.
Yeah.
And because the rest of the show is so trippy and weird, we don't really get the idea that it's a music video, or it just feels like they're throwing things at the wall to try to figure out what works.
Yeah. And I get what you're saying about you saying you need someone to cheer for, just someone that you like. And obviously Ivan is evil. Sam Levine doesn't do anything that makes you think he's like a good person. He works for Ivan. He seems very like self-preserving. He seems pretty evil. Mm-hmm. The cult all has the
assault
white
weapons.
Cult has assault weapons. So and we
don't see them try to outreach to Poppy in any other way.
Yeah.
The only thing we ever see them do is to take over a TV studio with guns.
So my theory was they're trying to make everyone evil. So even though Poppy doesn't really have much of a personality, we care about her because she's surrounded by evil. Mm-hmm. But she's also so quick to sign a contract with the devil.
And betray her only friend.
Right.
The only good character is Rosewater.
Rosewater, yes.
Mm-hmm.
But are we supposed to care about Charlotte?
I mean, Charlotte is consumed by hatred and jealousy.
Yeah.
She talks about being thinner than Poppy, which is like kind of the classic petty woman remark as written by TV writers, is that I'm thinner than she is.
Yeah.
Which you don't really hear. This is Women Written by Men 101.
Mm-hmm.
Because like never in my life have I been petty let me rephrase that. I have been petty toward a lot of people in my life. I have been petty toward so many people in my life. there's never been a point where I've gone like, well, I'm thinner than she is.
Mm.
That's not what I go after. And I've never heard another woman not written in fiction go after another woman like that.
The one thing that made me think of is one of my favorite movies that you haven't seen is Josie and the Pussycats.
Yes.
And there's a moment where the villain of it is like massaging Josie's shoulders and goes, "So Josie, how much do you weigh?" She's like, 127. And she's like, "I beat you 125. What is it like? It's supposed to make you go, ugh. So like, I think that's a poorly written trope to make someone look vain.
Yeah, and I've seen it done well. Like The Devil Wears Prada does it somewhat better with Emily Blunt's character.
Right.
Because it kind of makes it clear that Emily Blunt's character has severe body issues.
Right.
She says a line to the effect of like, "I don't eat all day until I feel like I'm going to faint, and then I eat 1 cube of cheese." And then she mentions being 1 stomach flew away from her goal weight. Which ever since The Devil Wears Prada, anytime my mother or I fall ill, we crack a joke about being 1 stomach flew away from our goal weight.
Right.
But it's...
Yeah. The fact that it leaves us with no one to care about, it almost makes me think a way you could save this is at the end, if he says something like the evil, any of the evil characters really, say something like, "The apocalypse is beginning." Like, somehow this is the start of the end of the world.
Yeah.
Because then I would at least be like, well, I care because I live in the world.
Yeah.
And I don't want it to end. Like maybe inserting myself into this would give me some sort of hook into this. But, like, it's not for new fans. It's not for Poppy fans. I don't know who this is for.
Yeah.
Honestly, we're not going to yell at you. If you liked this show,
please email us at thestaydoomshow@gmail.com and tell us why.
Tell us why.
Because I wasn't a Poppy fan, and I'm still not.
Yeah, I am still a Poppy fan. And I want you to know, I really wanted to like this. Like, I was excited that we were actually going to watch this, and I was going to introduce Laura to a thing I really like, and now I have to apologize and watch Disney documentaries. So, I'm sorry.
And, like, man, since watching Poppy, we have watched the entirety of the Imagineering story on Disney+.
Yes, I hope that it gets canceled so we can do an episode about it.
I don't think it can run more episodes for the next 20 years. Because the last episode caught you up to where they are now in the parks.
All right. So once YouTube Red Month is over, Imagineering story.
Yo, promise?
Yeah, sure.
Yay!
We've watched it. Let's do it.
Well, you actually have to go back and watch the first 4.
Okay, that's fine.
Because there are 6 episodes. You watched 5 and 6. I'm an OG Imagineering story.
Yeah, that's fine. That's fine. That's what's coming after YouTube Original, YouTube Premium month. But we just got started on YouTube Premium month. What are we watching next week?
We're watching Good Game, featuring the Game Grumps,
yes.
who I am a fan of.
Yes.
So I'm really excited about that. I think it'll be a lot of fun.
Yes.
I do like Danny and Aaron a great deal.
Yes, and you know who wrote this, right?
I do not.
This is written by, sorry. His name just left my brain. Jesse Cox. I got it. All right. It's written by Jesse Cox and Dan Harmon.
Oh, so that's great.
Yeah.
I'm in.
So this should be a very different experience than what we experienced.
Yeah, because Community is one of my all-time favorite shows. Rick and Morty is one of my least favorite shows.
Yeah. This will probably fall in the middle.
Yeah.
Of those two things.
Yeah, so I think it'll be a lot of fun. I'm very excited for that.
Yeah.
We're going to still try to watch Escape the Night when we can.
Yeah, and we'll also have an update on what other stuff we watched. If PlayStation lets me watch it.
Yeah, that's a big problem. But yeah, I'm really excited for Good Game. I'm not shading YouTube Red as a whole based on how much I disliked I'm Poppy.
Yeah.
I think I'm Poppy just needed to figure out who its audience was and act accordingly, and it did not.
It did not at all. If people want to reach out to us, where would they do that?
You would email us at thestaydoomedshow@gmail.com or on Facebook and Twitter at Stay Doomed.
Yeah, so if you have a comment about I Am Poppy, and if you liked I Am Poppy, email us. If you have a question or comment about Good Game that you'd like us to read on the show, email us. Or if you have an idea for a Good Game cocktail, be sure to email us. And if you want to talk to me about Poppy's music, I'm at +2 Comedy.
I have deleted social media, so if you want to communicate with me in any way, just use the Twitter at Stay Doomed. Until next time, at Stay Doomed.